High in the halls of the kings who are gone, Jenny would dance with her ghosts. The ones she had lost, and the ones she had found, and the ones who had loved her the most. The ones who'd been gone for so very long, she couldn't remember their names. They spun her around on the damp old stones, spun away all her sorrow and pain. And she never wanted to leave, never wanted to leave, never wanted to leave. Never wanted to leave, never wanted to leave, never wanted to leave.
Welcome to the Podrick Paynecast.
I am Jamie.
And I am Jeff.
Welcome to episode 2 of season 8. This was quite an episode, as always. What are your initial thoughts on this one, Jeff?
Well, I think we all figured this out. This is kind of a reunion between multiple different characters of sorts and kind of a setup episode for what we assume to be the Big Lebowski, the next episode.
Yeah, definitely. This episode, just like the first one, offered a lot of emotional reunions and actually went a lot more in depth with those reunions that we initially saw. The first thing that happens in the episode, obviously, is Jamie is being confronted by the Northern Council and pretty much fighting for his life. I know we last time we made the prediction that it was going to be Bran to save Jamie. And he kind of did, but it was mostly Brienne. And I know we touched on that a little bit last time, but I'm like kind of mad at myself for not like seeing how obvious that was that Brienne was going to be the one to, truly save him.
The things we do for love, right?
And when Bran says that to him and he gives him that look, Bran's got this like really cold, hard stare going on this season. And I actually read something, Isaac Hempstead Wright, the actor that plays Bran, they asked him like how he got such a cold stare, and he was like, well, I normally wear glasses, but I didn't wear them for the show, so I actually can't really see anything that I'm looking at.
That's me right now.
Yeah, so he's just like
the glare. Yeah.
He's just like looking beyond their eyes, like into their souls, pretty much. But yeah, that was a very awesome scene. Brienne totally held through, saved Jamie, and convinced Jon and Sansa and ultimately Dany to save him. And that really speaks a lot as to how much Sansa has trust in Brienne, because she was ready with Dany to, basically execute him. But then, she really trusts Brienne and takes her for her word.
I also feel like, keyword foreshadowing, it foreshadows the end of the episode, which we will, talk about with, the drinking scene and Brienne and stuff. But yeah.
And then we have lots of different characters, reuniting, talking about stuff on the parapets of Winterfell and throughout the yard. We have Tyrion and Jaime, who haven't really shared a scene together in a long time. So it's really fun to see them together. I think it's for the first time since the late season 4, right before Tyrion actually killed Tywin.
Oh, God. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Speaking of Tywin, they do bring him up. Tyrion says, I'd love to see the look on Father's face when he realizes we're going to die defending Winterfell. And, it's how the tables have turned.
At the same time, Tywin would know what's up. He would have done the same exact thing.
Would he, though?
Yeah. He wouldn't have fucked with the dead man. If he saw what they saw at the Dragon Pit when they brought the White, I feel like Tywin would have definitely... he would have gone north, but what happens after that, that's another thing, and in its entirety to discuss.
I think Tywin would do exactly what Cersei is doing, which is basically what he did in the war, the Robert's rebellion, which is basically see what side is going to win and then fight for that side, pretty much.
You can't fight for the dead, though.
And you can.
Not well,
Not
not
willingly.
alive. Yeah.
Not willingly, but it's possible.
No.
All right, so yeah, there's lots of characters. Another moment, there's lots of Jamie.
I loved
and
how they saw. Sorry to interrupt, but while we're on the parapet scene where they're Jamie and Tyrion are talking on the parapet, I love how it just cuts to like Brienne, and then it gives a second to Pod, and he's just like schooling some dude.
Yes, we love our Podrick moments for sure.
Yeah,
he's come
Jenny of Oldstones.
He's come a very long way since he's lighting rabbits on fire, and
I guess he has 2 golden pipes.
I read something interesting about Daniel Portman. Apparently, he's been groped by multiple women that like recognize him on the street.
That's Podrick Payne?
Yeah. So they recognize that he's Podrick Payne, and women have literally gone up and like groped him.
Wow,
yeah.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up, but it's pretty awesome at the same time to be known for that.
Yeah.
But known for what? We'll never know.
Do you think that it's the singing that made the horse not pay?
I mean, we'll find out. I don't hear any horrors coming my way right now, so.
Wait, what was it? Never mind.
But yeah, one of my favorite like just parts of the episode, and there's many of these parts in this episode, are the dynamics between Jamie and Brienne. And the first one obviously is her saving him in the council. The second one we get is right after the scene we were just talking about, Podrick fighting and teaching. He goes down and he sees Brienne, and he's very admirable of her. And they start talking, and she's kind of weirded out because she's like, all right, what's going on? Like, usually you're insulting me and belittling me and all this stuff. And that really speaks a lot about how much Jamie has changed as a character. You know, he's not really being arrogant or like that at all. He understands what's happening, understands who Brienne is, and wants to fight under her.
That's one of the things about cinema. Like, for us, it's totally normal. But like for Brienne, when's the last time she saw Jamie? In like season 2, season 3?
Season 4, I
season
believe.
4?
After the Red Wedding.
That's still a long time.
Yeah,
so
it's been a while.
For Brienne, yeah. Jamie's like a whole new man.
We also have many dynamics going on between Daenerys and Tyrion and Jorah. They kind of like share this scene where Daenerys is kind of pissed off at Tyrion, talking about all the mistakes that he's made. And one thing I've noticed about Daenerys this season is that she's really like personifying what it is to be a Targaryen. Like, she's kind of tried to like keep all of these qualities on the DL for a bit.
Right.
But these past couple episodes, she's really, taken on that fire and blood mentality and kind of shown it.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that comes out when she's talking to Tyrion, and Jorah kind of has something to say about it after she dismisses Tyrion. Jorah's, telling him how sad that he was that she didn't make him Hand of the Queen, but how much that he respects her decision of making Tyrion and that it was the right decision. And he kind of gives her this idea to repair things with him. Also, a second idea of his was to repair things with Sansa Stark. And that conversation didn't really go as planned, I don't think.
Just before we breach upon that conversation between Daenerys and Sansa, I feel like Jorah's really fucking being like a man right now. Like,
yes,
that was a hard decision to say, like, yeah, I wanted it, but you made the right decision. And then not only to admit that they feel like she chose the better person for the job, but to back him up, like after the fact, like with nothing to gain from him. There's nothing for him to gain from that entire situation. Everything with Dany and Jorah, there's nothing for Jorah to gain, but he still serves. And like, I feel like, we go through, there's so many nights in the show, but I feel like all the nightly nights, the actual nights in the show, like Brienne and the Hound and Jorah, they're not actually knights. They've all had like their sordid past. Not Brienne, she was just a woman, and people were sexist, in medieval Westeros. And then the Hound, who was like a murderer. And then you have Jorah, who was exiled for selling slaves. But like, these three characters are pretty much like the paragon of knighthood.
Exactly. And One thing I loved about that scene that I haven't heard in a long time was somebody calling Daenerys Khaleesi. And I'm pretty sure that Jorah's the only one that still does it. But
The way he says it too, it's so sultry.
Yeah.
But like,
just
Khaleesi.
hearing it, like it was a
Khaleesi.
very nice moment. A little creepy, but still nice. But yeah, so we get into this Dany and Sansa conversation, which starts out, pretty well. Starts out pretty fake, actually, if I'm being honest.
Basic bitches, like, at the start.
Yeah, exactly. It's like two girls that know they hate each other in high school, and they're just being nice. And it's going well until Sansa brings up the North. There's that question, what about the North? And Daenerys is just very, very concerned with the Iron Throne at this point in the story. That's like her top concern. We'll get into that a little more later between her and Jon, but
she gave the Iron Islands their own shit. Right?
She did. She's letting. Well, I feel like didn't Yara kind of like agree to like work under her though?
Yes, but like obviously Sansa already agreed to work under her. She said after this shit up north is taken care of and we've taken care of Cersei together, then what happens to the North? She's already admitting, and she's already in the first episode she says Winterfell is yours, my grace, or your grace. She's already bent the knee, so to say, but she wants to know what happens to the North after that. And so it's a very complicated situation because this is sailing into new territories for Daenerys, because now she's dealing with other lords and ladies, and it wasn't the kind of reception she expected when she came to Westeros. If you read the books, everybody's telling her like, oh, people are gonna accept you with open arms.
Yeah,
but they don't.
Raise
she's
dragon
foreign.
banners,
and like you said last episode, like people in Westeros are pretty racist. At least down south.
The southern Westeros people are. Definitely like the Tarleys, like we were talking about. But yeah, they are not open to foreigners at all, and unfortunately, foreigners make up probably about 90% of Daenerys' army.
Well, and for the North, everybody but the North are foreigners to the North.
Yes,
so they'd be the same way about
They're
anybody
still
not
about
from the
wildlings fighting for them.
But I will say this, and this is foreshadowing. It's our special word that we're using. Do you remember the first King of the North scene when the great John Umber said the Starks only bow, or they only bend the knee to the Targaryens, and the Targaryens are gone?
Yes, that was Robb, right? And Robb was crowned King of the North. And then
he crowned Robb. So I feel like the fact that maybe the Starks have bent the knee to the Targaryens before, I feel like that might come into effect. But at the same time, we'll get to this later. There's a very pivotal scene at the end of this episode.
Yeah, so to cut to the end of the Dany and Sansa conversation, which is kind of interrupted by the Maester. He comes down into the dungeons, and we don't really know what's going on, but they come back up into the courtyard of Winterfell, where we see Tormund, the Wildlings, and the Night's Watch returning from Last Hearth. It's ultimately a sweet reunion. There's hugs given. Tormund asks where the big woman is.
I love how Jon is walking towards Ed to embrace him, and then Tormund just tackles him.
Yes.
Out of nowhere. Not only was that a great in-character scene for everybody, but the cinematography on that and the planning. I don't know if that was planned or if that was ad-libbed on scene, but that was fucking great.
Yeah, so then it's revealed to Jon and company that the Army of the Dead is between Last Hearth and Winterfell, which really is not that far. You can tell from the intro, if you pay attention, just how close Last Hearth actually is to Winterfell. And Tormund and the Night's Watch, they even say they had to ride around the army to even get there in time. Then they're informed that they're going to be there in less than a day.
Not even. They said when the sun rises.
Yeah. So we have a lot of preparing to do, a lot of, everybody thinks they're going to die tomorrow. So we get to experience, which is a lot of different characters that we love, all kind of just
making amends.
Yeah, making amends, just experiencing a good last night. That could be their last night in this world. And we see multiple characters deal with it in different ways.
How would you spend your last night if you knew?
Oh, I'd be down in the Winterfell diner or whatever that place is called,
Crips?
drinking and telling stories with everyone. That's exactly where I'd be.
Right. I would be in bed with a belly full of wine.
And a girl's cock around your mouth.
No. A girl's mouth around my cock.
My bad.
Oh, hey, I don't discriminate, but yeah.
Girl's cock around your mouth. I can't believe I said that. How does that even work?
Hey, man, we got it on film. It happened. But, yeah, I got distracted.
So,
where were we on that one?
Dealing with the characters, kind of just like dealing with
Right.
themselves. There's a lot of callbacks to previous episodes and like previous characters in this episode, which I really loved. One of my favorites was callback, or it was a scene where Davos is kind of like feeding the children and like the soldiers that aren't soldiers that are now soldiers. But he sees a little girl with a burned face, and obviously it's reminding him of Shireen, who he cared for deeply. I really liked that scene. I thought it was really cool.
It was a very tender scene, and I feel like that added a lot.
And the little girl is a fighter, just like Shireen. She doesn't want to be kept in the crypts.
course.
She wants to, be out there and fight. So Davos charges her with protecting the crypts. While we're talking about the crypts, I've been reading a lot of like weird stuff about
Foreshadowing, our special word.
Yes. So there's multiple situations in this episode where the crypts are referred to as safe. Like it just keeps happening. Like Gendry wants Arya to go into the crypts because it's safe. Dany wants Tyrion to go into the crypts because it's safe. Like Gilly is telling everybody how safe the crypts are, and it's just kind of weirded me out, especially because the Night King can raise the dead. And here's the thing, the crypts are full of the dead, and I don't know exactly how science works in Westeros, but for me, I feel like all those dead people have been long enough for their like bodies to decompose. So
Well, it's known that I don't know the exact place that I'm referencing this from, but the bones were cleaned of the flesh before they're put into the crypts.
okay, so you don't think that they can be erased?
I don't think they can, but I think they will.
You think they will? So there's just going to be a bunch of skeletons?
Unless it was some total fucking debating, and they're like, oh, let's make them think the shit's going to like come up in the crypts, and then it doesn't. But then again, we go back to the scene from the trailer, the very first trailer, and it's Arya running through the crypts, being chased by
Was she in the crypts, or was she in like the halls of Winterfell?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, I think it's either or. That scene, that preview has been stressing me the fuck out ever since I saw that trailer, because we all know our girl Arya Stark. She does not frighten very easily.
Yeah, good luck telling her to go to the crypts.
And
so I guess that solves that.
Seeing her run like that is very, very concerning.
Yeah. Indeed.
And I have kind of like heard, this isn't really like a spoiler, this is more speculation, but what I feel like is going to happen is that, Winterfell is surrounded by this huge army. They could very easily just send the army in and just decimate everybody. But I don't think that's what is going to happen. I think Bran is kind of right. The Night King is going to come looking for him, and the Night King is going to send in maybe like a group of actual White Walkers, not whites, like into Winterfell. Like somehow the dead are going to get inside Winterfell, I feel like.
Well, now that you mention that, go back to our last episode where we're talking about the general motivation of the Night King.
Yes.
So why is he here? And in this episode, Bran kind of confirms that it's him, the three-eyed raven, that Bran's coming for. So I'm not saying they should just push him outside the wall and just like close the gates, but like, you know what I mean? So they're planning around Bran basically being the whatevs,
Well, he has to want Bran for a reason, and he kind of goes over that. Like, Bran basically represents the living. Like, the three-eyed raven is a collection of, like, all the memories of the world, and if what the Night King wants is an endless night, killing Bran is that first step. I have a good friend who actually made me think about this. He kind of, like, is almost like a Harry Potter, like, Harry Voldemort kind of thing. Like, what if there has to be a Night King, and there has to be a three-eyed raven, or else like it's just not going to work.
And they have to be Starks?
I don't think they necessarily have to be Starks, but I mean, we'll figure that
That
out.
would tie into lore pretty well. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a rumor that the Night King is one of the not the very first Stark, but one of the earlier Starks.
I've heard people even start saying that they think the Night King is a Targaryen now, which I don't really buy that much
Why?
into. Their whole argument behind it is that he can control the dragon, and that their little swirly sigil thing kind of looks like the Targaryen sigil, which it kind of does. But
well, he's a warg. Starks are wargs. That's why they control dragons, I suppose. I mean, he control anything basically. I don't think the dragon has to do with it, but can Bran warg into a dragon?
Or can Bran warg into a White Walker? Like, does he have that kind of power? Also, I want to see more of Bran, like, having three-eyed raven visions, where he's like, because he can walk in those and like actually do stuff.
So well, it's kind of late for that.
Yeah.
Right. I wish there was like 10 episodes to this season, but I don't know. Do we think Bran's gonna kill the three-eyed raven? I'm sorry, the Night King, or what?
You know, possibly. That's kind of what my friend was talking about. He said maybe like the Night King goes and finds Bran in the Godswood.
Godswood.
And the example that he uses that, you know, Bran has one of the dragon glass blades or something, and that as he's going to kill him, Bran kills the Night King. But like I said before, what if they both have to exist? So by Bran killing the Night King, they kind of like fuse into each other and like become one.
Shit.
So that was an interesting thing that my
theory is, and I did not steal this from the internet as I usually do, is I feel that Arya is going to kill the Night King after the Night King kills Bran.
I mean, I'm down for Arya to kill anybody at this point. We saw just how deadly she was.
I just feel like just because of the nature of the episodes and how we're on the third episode and it's the pivotal battle and there's still 3 episodes left, I feel like this wraps up this episode. Unless, like we discussed the last episode, either it wraps up this episode and it goes to the Lannisters versus the Starks, or it goes to the dead versus the Lannisters.
Well, I heard, I actually read that the Miguel Sapochnik, the director of this episode, mentioned that the next 3 episodes are kind of a single sequence. Like 3, 4, and 5 are kind of like one giant sequence.
And then 6 would be
6 is
your
like,
ending, like the ending of Return of the King.
Exactly.
Which I hope, because I love that kind of shit.
Well, they compared this battle to, I mean, the biggest thing they compared it to was the battle for Helm's Deep. I don't know how many Lord of the Rings fans we have listening here, but I love Lord of the Rings. So does Jeff.
Yeah, well, you remember in the preview, the first teaser trailer, there's a shot of Varys in the crypts. It's very reminiscent of all the children and women hiding in the Keep of the Hornburg in the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Definitely. It's also this battle sequence is the longest battle sequence ever put to film. Wow. Movies, TV, anything. This is the longest battle sequence ever. And again, Miguel Sapochnik, the director, was talking about how when you're filming a battle sequence that long, it can't just be like straight combat for 80 minutes because people are going to get bored and desensitized. So the words that he used to describe this whole episode was survival horror, which honestly terrifies me because, I love action. I love combat, Battle of the Bastards. That shit was awesome. But survival horror, that's like, it's going to be very stressful. I'm going to be stressed out the entire episode.
Dude, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to drink and know things at that point.
I'll drink and know nothing.
Yeah. I'll drink to that. Speaking of Miguel Sapochnik, that guy shits out like battle scenes like nothing.
Well, yeah, he's their go-to guy. He did Hard Home, I'm pretty sure, as well.
I'm surprised no like big movie companies have picked that guy up for anything.
It's TV is what's happening right now, man. Besides Avengers and whatever. I'm not going to say anything about that, but
no Avengers spoilers here.
Anyways, guess the rest of this episode, like I said, is just a lot of character reunions. There's some good moments where Arya goes and talks to the Hound for the first time, and they kind of share a drink together with Barrick. And then we get to kind of an awkward scene. I was very happy for Arya and Gendry getting it on. I thought that was cool.
Do you think she went to the Hound first to fuck?
I've seen that on the internet.
A friend told me that jokingly, but like, you know.
There's no way Arya would not be down to bone the Hound.
Yeah, I know. I just threw that out there just because I fucking love the Hound, man.
I love the Hound as well. And I hope that we won't see
man?
The end of him.
Hopefully, you know, if there is a Clegane Bowl, that the Hound will come out on top.
I think he will now. The Mountain's like already kind of dead.
Yeah. He's something. He's not like truly dead like the Whites are, though. He's like half dead. Is that a thing? I don't know. It is now. Coining it, half dead.
Qyburn is making it a thing.
Qyburn, that guy. What's going to happen to Qyburn, do you think?
I don't know. Even though this episode was awesome, I was very happy with it. We didn't get to see any of my favorite Cersei Lannister or anybody in King's Landing for that matter.
This guy fucking loves the Lannisters.
Fuck yeah. You always pay our debts, bitch. All right, so after, you know, Arya and Gendry are getting it on, we do learn what Arya's weapon is finally, which is a spear, which I don't know why it was hard. A
double-sided spear.
I don't know why it was so hard for us to like figure out what that was. Oh. But I think it's cool that she did choose that because that's like what she learned how to fuck the waif up with when she was blind.
The waif.
So she'll definitely be doing some damage with that.
And then we had epic forge sex.
Yes, epic forge sex.
Which, to be honest, I was not expecting at all. And I follow all the leaks and stuff, you know, all the little leaks, like who's filming with who and stuff. I was not expecting that, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of like thought it might happen, but I didn't think they would like, you know, show that much of Macy Williams. You get to see how many times the scar is on the side of her, though.
Yeah.
And getting shanked by the waif.
Fucking waif, man.
Yeah, fuck the waif.
That was her, too, she said in an interview. No body doubles.
Yeah. Well, everybody that I've been talking to that's weirded out by it, they're like, she's like 12. I'm like, she's not 12.
She's 22.
Yeah, she's the same age as Sansa. She's just small.
Yeah.
All right. So
she's been murdering people for the last 5 years. And she's an adult.
Yeah, she deserves to have some sex.
Yeah. Especially with fucking my boy Gendry, man.
That's one.
Another foreshadowing there. Special word. Remember when when Robert says, I have a daughter, or I have a son, you have a daughter. Let's join houses.
Yes.
Boom. That's why I think Arya and Gendry will survive, just because of that foreshadowing, but I've been wrong many times.
Gendry on the throne.
Yeah. Not necessarily the throne, but he's a bastard, so he can take her name and, you know, take on House Stark's, you know, from there. Although Sansa would be the proprietary Stark.
Yes.
But you know how that works, you know. Like with the Lannisters, there's the Lannisters of Casterly Rock, and then the Lannisters of Lannistown, and then you know what I mean.
The Lannisters that don't matter.
Yeah. The secondary Lannisters.
All right, so let's get into what is my favorite sequence of this episode, which is we have a lot of our favorite characters in, I don't know what to call that room. It's like the dining hall of Winterfell.
The feast hall.
The feast hall.
I think I need another beer for this scene.
Yeah, definitely.
What are we drinking tonight? What is this?
Oh yeah, this is brought to you by Stone Brewery, Scorpion Bowl IPA.
Scorpion Bowl. Oh, it should be called Clegane Bowl. Thank you, sir. So yes, in this scene, it's my favorite scene of the episode as well.
It starts out initially with Tyrion and Jaime just kind of shooting the shit, and then we have our various different characters kind of start trickling in, and it starts. Or my favorite part initially, it's when Podrick comes in with Brienne. You know, Tyrion and Podrick haven't hung out in a while, and he offers Podrick wine. Brienne initially objects and then agrees to half a cup, and then you see Tyrion just overfill the crap out of the cup.
God, the facial acting for both of those actors, Daniel Portman and
Peter Dinklage.
I know that. I'm just bad with names. I know his name. But the facial acting, just the expressions and everything in that 3-second sequence where he's pouring the wine was just fucking golden, man.
Very. And then we get who else all gets down there? We get Tormund down there, Davos.
First Davos comes in doing his dad shit. He's like, "Oh, I'm fucking cold," you know, and then nobody gives a shit. And then fucking Tormund comes in.
Tormund comes in, and we get the whole giant's milk story.
Yeah,
which I really love that, and I know that it's total comedic relief for the show because everything's about to get so serious. But
I heard that scene. The only thing that was planned was that it said in the script that he drinks milk.
Really,
that's it.
No, so it like that whole thing where
he's like really like downing it, and it's just spilling all over his beer. That was all just like ad-libbed. That's what you call it, right? Where you like
yes.
So, and they just all started cracking up after he did that.
Yeah, so it starts out, all fun and, kind of funny. And then it starts to get a little more serious. They start talking about, I believe what kind of like brings it into the seriousness. Someone mentions that, at one point, every single one of us here was fighting the Starks. And it's true. Like, Davos fought the Starks with the Baratheons, Podrick and Tyrion fought them with the Lannisters, obviously Jaime as well. Brienne fought them with the Baratheons. And it's crazy to think how just everything goes full circle like that. And then we get into, kind of all everybody's individual accomplishments. And they start talking about Brienne. And we get what is honestly like one of the best scenes in the entire series, which is the knighting of Sir Brienne
of Tarth, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
And it's perfect that Jaime is the one that did it, and I just don't think there's any better way for that scene to have gone down.
I would knight you 10 times over if I could. If I was king, I would knight you 10 times over.
And yeah, it honestly was Tormund's initial like push that gets Jaime to do it, because he doesn't understand like
Tormund's
why is she not a knight already?
Like the quintessential like feminist of like Game of Thrones right now, I feel like. Because like he's not even aware of just the sexism. It just doesn't even compute with him, just he's a free folk, Yeah. They're free about everything.
And he's used to women like Ygritte, Ygritte was freaking badass. She wasn't afraid to kill people. She almost killed Jon, honestly. But.
She tried. It's not that hard to kill Jon. Oh, well, I'm sorry. It's hard to kill Jon. Right?
Yep. So we have, it's a very, very bittersweet scene because we know it's coming and we all know it's coming. I feel like they did that on purpose with this episode. They gave us all these touching moments. They gave us all these callbacks to previous episodes. We get to see like fulfillment of everything pretty much. So all the different character interactions. One thing we forgot to mention earlier was Sam and him giving away his family sword to Jorah. And what that points out to me is I know we kind of did this last time, like who do you think is going to die? I know a lot of people are probably going to die next week or the day after tomorrow pretty much. But I think Sam is honestly going to die, as much as I hate to say it. He gave up his sword. They had that whole scene where Dolores Ed and all of them were talking about all of Sam's accomplishments, Sam the Slayer, killing the White Walker, killing the Thenn.
Should you know, I stole some very serious books from quite the library. But somebody posted this on Free Folk, but in that scene, there's a little camera trick where it kind of like zooms in like the focus onto Jon, and it kind of like blurs them out a little bit. So I don't know if that's intentional or if...
everything's intentional.
At this level, yeah, right? I feel like at this level of cinematography, everything they do has a purpose. So like I'm buying into this shit when people, and I'm on Free Folk constantly, so I'm reading all these theories and I'm getting all these little tidbits of stuff like this that I don't notice, even though I watched the episode 4 times already. I'll watch it again before the next episode, but honestly, this is probably one of my favorite episodes in all of Game of Thrones, even though practically nothing happens. And we haven't even breached upon the ending of the episode.
And that, I agree with you. It was a very, very rewarding episode from a fan's point of view, which again, terrifies me because Game of Thrones is not
Yeah.
known as a show to be rewarding to its fans beyond the ending of season 7.
Right.
But before that, it's no mercy. But yeah, I mean, the only really thing that happened in this episode was I like it to call the bomb that Jon dropped on Daenerys at the worst possible time. Like literally he tells her, and then Dany is not concerned at all that she just fucked her nephew. Like the only thing that she's concerned about is the Iron Throne, which
Right.
again, like I said, is just her personifying that Targaryen personality even further. In one way, because she doesn't care about incest, and neither did the Targaryens.
Well, I have to point out, like, in that time, like, incest between, like, an aunt and uncle was kind of normal. Like, Tywin Lannister was married to his cousin, so it wasn't an issue, really, for either side, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole, like, not caring about incest, which is whatever, but she also just found out that she has family. Like, she hasn't had family since Viserys Targaryen was killed. So
He's a total dick.
She doesn't care that she has family. All she cares about is that Jon now has a better claim to the throne than she does. And right when they kind of get into that, the White Walkers show
That was
up.
basically her. She felt like that was her purpose, Like her purpose was the Iron Throne. And she finds out this guy that she fell in love with, like through all of her, terrible relationships, well, not terrible, but not ideal, that this guy that she loves is like basically who she should be, like he's the heir to the Iron Throne. And he doesn't want it either. That's kind of fucking weird, right?
I mean, you have to look at who Jon is, and I kind of feel like Dany should feel the same way. Back in season 5, she made her whole break the wheel speech.
Right.
Which is, she was talking about Targaryens, Baratheons, Lannisters, Starks, they're all just spokes on a wheel. I want to break the wheel. Doing what she's doing right now, she's kind of made a new wheel. And she broke all those lesser houses, and now she's kind of made a new one. And she's afraid Jon is going to break it. So,
well, that harkens back to what Sam said in episode 1. You gave up everything for your people. Would like she do the same thing?
Yeah.
Would she? I don't know, man. I don't know if she would.
And also, like with the horrible timing of Jon telling Dany about all that, right as the White Walkers are showing up, like, is there going to be now conflict, like in the battle, like especially with something that like that important? You would think they would have to be like on the same page, like physically and emotionally, and now they're kind of like at odds with one another, not really knowing like what to do. Daenerys could easily just like take her dragons and go south and like fuck everybody.
Hey man, like sometimes that's just how life happens, dude. It fucking throws you a curveball and you have no time to react. You just have to keep going. And like you're not ready for it, but the rest of the world just moves without you. And like here's one thing I want to bring up since we're talking about it. Like, how involved do you think Daenerys is going to be in this battle? Do you think she's going to be on the front lines with her dragons, or is she going to, like you said, fly away, or what?
I definitely don't think it's a good idea for her to be on the front lines just because of how she lost Viserion.
Yeah.
She kind of like learned that lesson.
Right.
But then again, like Jon knows how to ride a dragon now. And
there is some more foreshadowing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. I'm really into foreshadowing, man.
Hey, we haven't said all right like
just
at
really,
all though, so
it just really brings the room together, the foreshadowing. But yeah.
Yeah, so it's in the battle dynamics are going to be interesting because like I was saying earlier, I really don't think it's going to be like the typical battle sequence that we're used to. I think it's going to start out that way. I kind of saw like a map that kind of had the armies all set up, and we had like
right in the battle planning scene, they had the map.
Yeah. So we have like Brienne and Jaime like kind of commanding like one of the flanks.
The left flank.
We have the Dothraki and then the Unsullied like right up the middle, and then we have like the Knights of the Vale on the other side, along with the Northmen. So I think it'll kind of start out like a traditional battle, but like I said, the dead are somehow gonna get inside Winterfell and shit is gonna go down.
I ain't no expert, but what I would do is I would have the Unsullied off. And sorry, not the Unsullied. I'd have the Unsullied as your main center, right? Because they're trained to be, a stalwart force, like with shields, and that's basically their point. Is they hold the line, just like Greek phalanxes. I would have the Dothraki. I'd have them off in the waiting, and I'd have the Unsullied kind of form your center and slowly move back, and then when the entirety of the army of the dead is engaged, I would have the Dothraki come from the behind and just mow them the fuck down.
Well, they also have like these trenches kind of like surrounding all of Winterfell too. Which
do you think they put pitch in them?
I saw dragon glass in them for sure. They had like dragon glass.
Oh, the caltrops things?
Yeah, they had them like sticking out.
I feel like they did put pitch because they have trebuchets.
Yeah.
And like throwing
them on fire.
Well, throwing rocks at the dead with trebuchets. Although trebuchet is known to be the most efficient siege weapon in history, but throwing rocks at the dead isn't going to happen. I feel like they have pitch. I'm predicting this. They have pitch, which is basically just tar that lights on fire. Primitive, primitive Greek fire or whatever. And they're going to send some shit light on fire. I feel like that is going to happen. At the same time, I feel this whole planning scene of the battle, it's like they're like, oh, we're fucked. So
more foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Earlier we got, I forgot to mention this in the council when they're like talking about their battle planning and stuff. They kind of like are talking about if Dragonfire can kill the Night King, and Bran's like, I don't know, no one's tried it before. So we'll kind of see. I kind of feel like it's not going to do anything against him.
Really?
Honestly.
So does that mean he's a Targaryen if that happens?
That was also a part of like the Targaryen theory. I don't think it has anything to do with him being a Targaryen, but we do see him walk through fire at, I'm pretty sure it's during season 6.
Right. Hold the
obviously,
door.
regular fire isn't the same as dragon fire, but Cersei Lannister, if she had actually come up north with her stores of wildfire, I feel like that would have helped out a lot, but it's a little late for that now.
Cersei doesn't give a fuck. Only to your own, though.
Yeah. I mean, imagine the it's actually called a scorpion, her dragon killing crossbow thing that her and Qyburn made. Imagine them fitting that with a fucking dragon glass tip. They could take out icy Viserion with that thing.
Yeah, we saw how easy it was for the Night King to take out Viserion with his icy spear, so why wouldn't the dragon glass do the same thing? That's why I predict that Arya will kill the Night King. I don't know if it's like instantaneous, like they touch it and they just shatter, but
like I said, with the next 3 episodes being considered like a single piece, I don't think we're going to see the Night King die at the end of this episode.
All right.
Or at all. I think we'll see a small number of minor characters die, maybe like one major character. Hopefully that's it. I don't want like everyone to die. We still have half the season left here.
I feel like anybody who is on the front lines is going to die.
Which sucks because that's Brienne, Jaime, Jorah,
Podrick,
Dolores Ed, fucking Tormund, Podrick. Is Podrick going to be on the front lines?
He's wherever.
He's with Brienne, yeah. Podrick cannot die. If Podrick dies, this will be our last episode.
Yeah. There's no Podrick dying on this TV show. Our TV show, not Game of Thrones. But yeah, fuck, man. I'm nervous for Sunday, dude.
Dude, I've been nervous all week. Ever since the second that episode ended, I was like, we're fucked next week. Like, I've never been like this nervous for a fucking TV show before. It's kind of pathetic, actually.
Dude. It's not pathetic. I feel like, dude, I don't know who I was talking this about, but Game of Thrones, like, brings people together. Like, of every creed, every race, like, people fucking love it. And I feel like it shows great humanity in the TV show, and just overall, just the general excitement around it is just, it's like I'm in awe of it, to be honest.
And so many people like it right now, and it's kind of brought out this group of people that I cannot stand, and there's this group of people that for some reason are like proud of the fact that they've never seen Game of Thrones.
Nobody cares
I
that you
don't
didn't
fucking
watch Game of
understand those
Thrones.
people, and they won't do it out of spite. They're like, "Oh, fuck that show." I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
never
better
seen
than
a
you
single
because I've
episode.
never seen an episode like it's a fucking drug or something.
Literally every single person that I've talked to that didn't even think they would like that show, they're like, "Oh, I'm not really into fantasy or whatever." They watch it and they're like, "Holy crap, dude, I'm fucking addicted to this show." Like, it's not that typical, fantasy fucking show like Lord of the Rings. Like, Lord of the Rings is very strictly fantasy drama. You kind of have to be into that to be into Lord of the Rings.
These are real life themes.
It is
just
real life
presented
themes.
in fantasy, like a little fantasy burrito, But the tortilla may be fantasy, but all the meat and stuff and the veggies, that's all human shit, bro.
And another thing that pisses me off about that selective group of people is when I talk to them about it, a lot of them are like, yeah, like, I don't want to watch Game of Thrones because it's degrading to women and like women get raped. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
there's also women, the Queen of Dragons.
Yeah, all the people in power are
Lady
women.
of Winterfell, freaking Cersei of the Iron Throne. It's like all of the main like powers are kind of women. It's just, there's nothing, I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that at all. If anything, it empowers women. Like, that's it. Everybody that thinks otherwise is just stupid and has not given the show a chance, which I cannot sympathize with them. It's like having the opportunity to taste the best candy in the world, but you don't want to try it because everybody else has already tried it. I don't know. It's stupid.
Yeah. And that whole thing about how it degrades women, I mean, it's not degrading women. It's showing character development and like it's putting real life difficulties that people deal with, like women deal with. And it, it kind of, it makes us empathize as viewers, like even more than we would if somebody went through something, but like we can see it and feel it together. And I feel like it's just, this show just really brings people together. And yeah, so if you haven't watched it, like, you should.
If you haven't watched it and you're watching this, you need to sort out your priorities.
I feel like we don't have to, I know. We don't have to describe to our viewers why you should watch Game of Thrones, but that's our opinion on the whole phenomena of people not wanting to watch the show. But yeah.
All right, well, I feel like we've kind of wrapped up the episode. Yeah. Let's take a moment I want to make some like bold predictions for the
prediction
next one.
Time.
This is, who do you think, or like who in your opinion is going to be the MVP
Arya.
of the Battle of Winterfell?
I think Arya's going to kill the Night King.
Arya?
Yep.
I'm going with my boy Jon Snow.
I love Jon Snow. He's my favorite character, but I just feel like Arya's been set up to do the deed.
Jon is also like the best swordsman in Westeros right now. Like nobody else has proven to be a better fighter than Jon has.
We've seen how the dead fight, so we'll see.
I'm not
disagreeing with you. But
I'm looking forward to seeing Jorah slice some shit up with that Valyrian steel sword, though.
I know. I hope it's not just like one time. I hope he like lays some pipe with that shit.
So we've haven't seen Jorah fight that much, but when he has, like, he's done really well. Like him in the fighting pits of Meereen, like he freaking got shit done. So
it's like samurai shit, Like when you think of sword fighting, like in real life versus like film. Like it's always overdone in film, but like there's like certain scenes in like samurai films and stuff where it's like 2 or 3 moves and like the one dude's dead. I feel like that's how like Jorah fights. Yeah. Because he fucking knows, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah. What other predictions?
All right, so your MVP is Arya.
My MVP, Arya for Jeff.
I'm going my boy Jon Snow for sure.
Jon Snow, all right.
First person to die.
First person to die. First person or first like character?
First like person that we care about to die.
I feel like Dolores Ed, first person to die.
I could see that. Or even Tormund.
Or Beric.
Beric, yeah. It would be
I guess
easy
we have to
Beric.
choose since we're doing predictions. So I'm going to choose Beric, actually.
You're going to go with Beric?
Yeah. I feel like he's the first character to bite it in this episode.
I think I'm going to go
I'm gonna go with Dolores said.
Dolores said.
Yeah,
It's two good choices, I must say, but yeah. I feel like they might save him a little bit longer for something more dramatic. But yeah.
Do you think we'll see any characters that we used to love return as dead people?
We might see that Royce kid, unless they actually chopped him up into pieces. Might see some Hoders.
Oh, that would be heartbreaking. I hope not.
Me too.
Or 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Definitely some giants, though.
Maybe more animals. You know, they can turn bears and fucking dragons. So
And ice spiders, although they probably don't have the budget for that. Well, they have the budget, but they spent it on dragons.
yeah, I hope we get more than like fucking 10 seconds of Ghost too. That was bullshit.
Right? He just kind of shows up. Yeah. Just like in this episode, we just talked about him for 2 seconds.
Shit. All right, so death, we got our MVP. Who's gonna get the first kill?
First kill.
For who will kill the first White Walker?
I feel like John's going to kill the first White Walker.
See, I think it's gonna be Arya.
Arya?
Yeah.
All right.
I think one of them is gonna get inside Winterfell. She's gonna kill it with her spear, get overwhelmed, lose her spear, and that's what she's gonna be running from.
Another thing I forgot to mention earlier when I was talking about Arya killing the Night King and Bran killing, Bran being killed by the Night King is she has the cat's paw blade.
Yes.
Which was given to her from Bran. So that's more foreshadowing. We might be looking too much into foreshadowing, but I feel like, and that happened in the Gods of Wood, that the same place, he gave her the blade in the Gods Wood, and it's Valyrian steel, which we know kills White Walkers. So that's my final answer, Regis.
First kill. All
Arya, right. If it was cool, it would be Arya in the Gods Wood with the cat's paw blade.
Yeah. Honestly, it's hard to make these kind of predictions because I know we're going to be wrong. I'm very, very not right very often when it comes to Game of Thrones predictions. But that's what makes this show great, honestly, is that it is hard to predict.
I don't like when people or filmmakers try to subvert, expectations.
Yeah.
And I feel like Game of Thrones is a good idea of, at the same time, not being expected, but at the same time not coming off as they're trying to subvert expectations. And I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Because I don't want to watch a movie where somebody makes it just because they're trying to subvert people's expectations.
Also, whenever we get, dynamics like this in film, good versus evil, which is ultimately what it has come down to, there's always the assumption that good is going to win just because that's how it goes all the time. And if there's anything that Game of Thrones has taught us since day one is that it's not like that in this world.
No.
And it's not like that in the real world either. Like we were saying there, this show is full of real world dynamics, real world situations, even though it is a fantasy show.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so great, though. And it's going to be very hard to say goodbye. I don't know what I'm going to do after the next 5 weeks, but...
Cry.
I'm going to be crying the whole time I'm watching.
I'll wipe my tears on my Clegane banner.
Okay, well, have you got anything else left for this one, Jeff?
I feel like I've spilled my soul into the microphone. So thank you for watching. This is the Podrick Paynecast with Jeff.
And Jamie.
We will see you on the other side.
And probably in tears.
Yeah. Have a good night.